Good morning, YouTubers. Tsquare with Tsquare Talks. Hope everybody is having a great Christmas morning or Christmas day, depending on when you guys are watching this. So today I had a few different ideas on what I wanted to talk about, and then at the last minute I changed it, but I still wanted to take a quick moment to address a quick comment before we get into the real value of silver and give an example that I think is extremely fitting on this Christmas day. So before I get going, though, I have to say the comment that I had gotten as I was reading through literally like 400 comments last night, trying to catch up on comments. And someone had mentioned, oh, why would you waste your money on a propaganda coin? We ain't the same. And here's the thing. I've always said this, I don't care what is on an ounce of silver. It could be an ounce of silver with Joe Biden on it. It could be an ounce of silver with Donald Trump on it. It could be an ounce of silver with almost anything on it, and it is worth an ounce of silver to me. It is better than fiat paper promises that probably won't amount to anything when the time comes. It's just a debt note. It's just a $1 billion check that I could write out to you, a $1 trillion check. It ain't gonna amount to anything because I ain't got that kind of money. So, you know, when I hear comments like that, I always laugh. An ounce of silver at a good price, in my opinion, is a good deal. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the real value of silver, though. And I chose a different line of questioning to do today. I am going to get religious a little bit. I wanted to base some stuff off some historical information that, one, you can cite up against the Bible, Scripture, and two, that you can find out through the history of my thoughts on silver and the history of silver and this and that. So before we get started, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button for me because it helps me out more than you know, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, to do this line of questioning, I wanted to do it a little bit differently today, as I'm always trying to think of new ways. And this is a game that I play a lot. When I'm bored, I have a Google that my son had bought me one year, and I sit there and I talk to Google randomly about all kinds of different things. If someone is listening to my Google conversations with me and Google, they're probably laughing at it because I've asked some crazy stuff and gone on some real tangents. So the first thing I want to ask is how much silver did Jesus get betrayed for? And this is going to give us a little bit of information to a line of questioning that's going to take us to really make us really question the price that silver is at right now. I think the price that silver is at total BS levels. And I love the price that it's down here because if they didn't manipulate it, I wouldn't be able to buy it as much as I can buy. So I'm cool that they're manipulating, and I think most of you guys are cool with that too. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, how much silver did Jesus get betrayed by? For most of you guys, we all already know the answer. However, I just want to hear what Google has to say about it, even though we all know Scripture is 30 pieces of silver. How much silver did Jesus get betrayed for?
30 pieces of silver.
So
According to History.com, Judas then went on his own to the priests of the temple, the religious authorities at the time, and offered to betray Jesus in exchange for money, 30 pieces of silver, as specified in the Gospel of Matthew.
So you have and this is also cited in the Bible, you have, whether you believe it's real or you believe it's a story, we have a situation where a best friend sold out his best friend for 30 pieces of silver. Now the question comes up, you know, well, what is a piece of silver back in that time in Rome? Because everybody knows that Rome started out with sound money, gold, silver, pure, and as the Roman Empire continued to collapse, they basically debased the money, kind of like the U.S. has done over time. We've debased the money from 90% to 40% to some at 35% to 0%. and now it's just a promise to pay. So it's kind of interesting how that has changed. And Rome did the same exact thing. So the next question that I want to ask is, what was a piece of silver at that time? What was a piece of silver at the time of Jesus's passing? Oh, I had to say the D word. I didn't want to say it, but what was a piece of silver at the time of Jesus's death? I'm not going to get it now. Why is it not talking to me? Hold on here. Let me change this up just a little bit. What was a piece of silver at the time of Jesus's death? It's not going to say right now, but let's see here. I know it was a shekel, but I kind of wanted to have it say it. Well, I know that it was a shekel during that time, and then the question would be how much silver is in a shekel? How much silver is in a shekel?
Around 7.2 grams. According to Wikipedia, the Carthaginian or Punic shekel was typically around 7.2 grams in silver and 7.5 grams in gold.
So I want you to think about that. 30 times 7. Now, the answers are going to range anywhere between 7.2 and actually 14 grams of silver. And I say that because they had actually not debased the silver until shortly after his passing. So right around the time of his passing. So a lot of historical accounts are going to say 14 grams versus 7. I actually did all the math up ahead of time because I have it sitting here because I was like, well, okay, 14 at best case scenario, they could have still been the 14 grams of silver. And then the question came up, okay, 14 grams times 30, what does that come out to? 14 times, 30. It came out to 420 grams of silver. And then my next question, I had to look this up. I couldn't quite remember. I always forget the 31.103. How many grams of silver are in an ounce of silver? Because you have to remember it's a troy ounce, not a regular ounce. And that came up to 14.815 ounces of silver. So we'll just say 15 ounces of silver. Now, 15 ounces of silver. I want you to think about what 15 ounces of silver is for just a quick minute so you can see it. So Jesus essentially got betrayed for what you see in my hand. This right here. This was supposedly one of his best friends, one of his chosen. At today's price, does anybody want to take a guess what this is worth? Based on a $24.50 spot price, we're going to go with spot for now, just for easy math. Basically $343. Think about that. Jesus got sold out. His best friend, one of his top, every account says that he was one of his closest. He was a disciple. He was a follower of him. He followed him everywhere he went. One of his closest for a lousy 15 ounces or a lousy $343. Now, I know some people out there are just kind of wondering where we're going with this, but what I'm trying to emphasize is, would you sell out your best friend or even a friend for a lousy $343, a $350 we'll say? It's probably not going to happen. So that's one of the reasons why I just can't fathom that silver is valued at this price. In the Bible, there's many scriptures that talk about essentially the shekel. You can see, different things like the vineyard story where the man went out into the vineyard and worked all day in the hot sun for a shekel, for 14 grams of silver. We're not even talking a half an ounce of silver, a little less than a half an ounce of silver. Can you imagine? I'll take this one because it's a pretty one. Can you imagine cutting this in half and then working all day for that? Can you imagine working 2 days for that? Or can you imagine putting in a week of work for 3 of these? It's beyond me that silver is as cheap as it is today. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that if we ever went back on a sound money how quick things would change and how this would be a fortune right here in front of you. I find it just super interesting because there's been numerous stuff. If anybody's ever had the opportunity to watch the story Far, Far and Away, I think it was, with, man, I can't remember, Tom Cruise and I can't remember her name. Someone already knew the answer. Nicole Kidman. So, Far and Away, you guys really need to consider watching this movie. It is a Tom Cruise movie. It's got Nicole Kidman and a lot of stories in it that talk about them coming to America and the troubles that they went and how they brought their fortune to America. They brought the bulk of their fortune to America in a silverware set, a sterling silver 925 set of silverware. It eventually got stolen. They lost all their wealth all at once, and he ended up doing prize fighting, and Nicole Kidman went to pluck chickens for essentially a silver dime a day. A whole day's work. Now, when you think about a silver dime, there again, a silver dime is not much silver. I mean, can you imagine going to work all day for one of these? Here you go. Here's your pay at the end of the day. Keep the change. You know, I find it funny that people have the opportunity in this wasteful day and age to essentially work and take their fiat currency and exchange it in for sound money and essentially have something and build wealth for their family for generations down the road, and people don't do it. I have a belief that the high-ups, the rich elites, are going to crash the system. They're going to reset everything. And before they do, they're going to do a mass buying of as much silver as they can. They're already buying up silver and gold left and right. We'll go to a silver and gold, but you know what? At that point, everything is going to be owned by a small group of people. They will essentially enslave everybody. And I think you have the opportunity right now to stack silver at a super cheap price, but a lot of people out there are listening to the naysayers. And as someone out there is going to comment, I'm one of the naysayers. They're on here. They're always leaving comments. I always find it funny that, you know, for a person that is so anti-gold or anti-silver, they sure spend a lot of time. They will catch this comment at the very end of this video as I'm wrapping up. You know, take advantage of the opportunity. It's not financial advice, but it is my opinion, my thoughts. And I know most of you guys watching this video are already stackers or you just started. But it just gives you something to think about to build a little confidence. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great Christmas and a great day with your family. Take care, everybody. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, comment. I love reading y'all's comments. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.